Greetings, I'm Bill Kladke, and I'd like to welcome you to today's edition of Neighborhood Beat. Today's show looks at insurance in Maryland, what your rights are, what you should know, and what you better know. Our guest is Joy Hatchette, who's Associate Commissioner of the Maryland Insurance Administration. Joy, thanks for being on our guest.
Thank you for inviting me, Bill.
Well, thank you so much. First of all, for those of our viewers who are unfamiliar, and there may be some, could you please tell us about your agency?
We are the state agency that's responsible for regulating the insurance industry. And really what that means for consumers is we're the ones that make sure that the insurance companies and the insurance agents comply with Maryland law. And why that's important to consumers is, think of us sort of as the Better Business Bureau, but for insurance. We make sure if you have a problem or a question about an insurance company, you can come to us and we can sort of help you sort through that problem.
Great. What is, you are Deputy Commissioner?
Well, I'm an Associate Commissioner for Consumer Education and Advocacy, and my unit is responsible for trying to educate consumers about their rights and their responsibilities for all types of insurance: automobile, homeowners, life, health, any type of insurance issue.
How long have you been with?
18 years.
18 years. Wow. So that's enough. It's enough time to know where the bones are buried, right?
Well, I know a little bit about the insurance area.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Let's talk about homeowners insurance first, because I know that that's an area that touches all of us in one way or the other.
Absolutely.
What are the major issues right now in homeowners insurance?
Well, the first place that I like to start is a lot of people really don't understand what their homeowner's policy covers and what it doesn't cover. There's still people out there that think that their homeowner's insurance policy covers them for flooding, and that's absolutely not the case. Homeowner's insurance specifically excludes flooding. And then people think that, well, flooding, you have to live right beside a river or an area of water, and that's not the case. Under your homeowner's policy, flooding is included anytime there's seepage of water into your home, and that's going to be excluded. Now, you can go out and you can buy a separate flood insurance policy, but that is not something that automatically comes along with homeowners insurance.
So we're talking heavy rains or sewer leak or anything like that?
Well, heavy rains, sewer leak is a little bit different, because then you can, under your homeowner's policy, they are going to offer you water sewer backup. So that's basically if the water comes through the washing machine or toilet, there may be coverage if you accept that offer and pay additional money for that coverage.
Right, and when you first take out the policy, or when
you renew,
anytime
you renew your policy. And that's what I tell people. Look at that policy on renewal. December's a great time, or any time of the year, beginning of the year, just pick a time and go through your policy. Look at that declaration page and understand what it covers and what it doesn't cover. People take 6 months or a year buying the right house. They take months getting the right furniture for that house. They look maybe 2 minutes at what it takes to cover their most prized possessions. And that's where consumers can do more to protect themselves.
As long as we're talking about coverage here, so flood insurance is a must. And in Maryland...
Well, I wouldn't say it's a must, but you need to evaluate your risk. So the last time we had a heavy rain, did you have water in your basement? Was there water in your home? And if so, you need to consider flood insurance. There's still some people out there that think they can't get it. Anyone can purchase flood insurance, but what you need to do is you need to think about whether that is the right thing for you.
And they could purchase flood insurance by just searching for flood insurance on the internet?
There's a website, floodsmart.gov, and they can actually go on that website and find out the price of flood insurance, or they can contact their homeowner's insurance company, and many homeowners insurance companies actually also sell flood insurance.
And for more information from the Maryland Insurance Administration, how can they get in contact with you folks?
Well, we have two good ways. We have a 1-800 number, 1-800-492-6116, or they can visit our website, www.mdinsurance.state.md.us. And we have all kinds of publications that are written in layman's terms. Insurance is a difficult area, and the contracts are written in a lot of legal terms. All of our materials, our brochures, and our publications are written in a way that's easy for the consumer to understand.
Good, good, good. That helps.
Yes.
That helps, because it is a complicated process. That declarations page, for example, that has abbreviations on there, that has all kinds of phrases on there that I don't understand.
Exactly. And consumers, when they get something that they don't understand, they sort of tend to push it away or push it aside. But what we really try to encourage people is to pick that up, and if you don't understand it, give us a call, and we'll try to help you walk through and understand it better.
Yeah, or they should call their insurance agent, too.
Exactly.
Of course, the insurance agent might want to sell them more insurance.
And that's why in our brochures, we give you a list of questions that you should ask your agent, because you want to make sure that you're not underinsured or overinsured. You want to make sure that you've got the right protections for you. And what's right for me may not be the same thing that's right for you. So you just really need to look at your personal situation.
In terms of evaluating that personal situation, you've talked about water. What other things should someone consider?
Well, one of the big things is think about, because insurance is all about risk. And so you need to think about how much insurance coverage do I need to have. And people do not need to get insurance on the market value of their home. They need to get insurance on how much it is to replace or rebuild your home. So basically, if there is an incident, a fire, and your entire home is burned to the ground, what you need to make sure of is that you have enough insurance to rebuild that home. So people say, well, how do I figure that out? They're basically places that you can go and enter in to a database. The square footage of your home, whether it's brick, whether it's siding, what type of cabinets you have, what type of flooring you have, and that'll tell you the replacement cost for your home. Now, your agent has access to that database as well, but if you want to do it for yourself, look at we have basically a brochure called Consumer Guide to Homeowners Insurance, and in that brochure, it tells you several websites that you can go to get that information. Now, those websites they're not expensive, but it is at a cost. Your agent will do that for you for free.
Great, great. And so they could go to, would a brochure like that be on your website?
Absolutely. Go to our website and they can find that consumer guide. And the other great thing that we have on our website is we have a rate comparison guide that compares the rates for homeowners insurance, because frequently we see on television all the different companies and they tell you that they can beat each other's rates. Well, what we do is, because we regulate the insurance industry, we say give us basically some scenarios and some dollar figures of how much it costs for a policy with your company. We take that information and we put it in a guide so consumers can do the apple-to-apple comparison.
Oh, that helps. That helps greatly. Because you can spend a lot of money on insurance that you don't need.
Exactly, because there are going to be certain limitations. For example, there's a limitation in your policy on jewelry. So an insurance policy is only going to give you a certain amount of coverage for jewelry unless you actually purchase more. Insurance policies have limits on heirlooms, furs, guns, coins, all of those things. So it's important to know what your basic policy limits are and then figure out whether you need to purchase additional coverage or whether you have too much coverage. Because as I said, if you have too much coverage, then you're wasting money on premium. So
Absolutely.
You just got to figure out what that right amount is for you.
Right. Now, homeowners insurance also means renter's insurance. And I know that renter's insurance is a separate type of policy, but it's one that too few people have.
Well, think about it this way. If something happens to the apartment or the home that you are renting, and you lose everything. You can't look to the landlord to replace your things. The state is not going to be able to replace your things, and the county's not going to be able to replace your things. So you have to have another source to get your personal property replaced. A renter's insurance policy is the way that that can happen. Now, if you look at the cost of renter's insurance, that's also a cost that we have in our consumer's guide to homeowners insurance. We have some information on that.
Well, that's
and
helpful.
then I ask people, well, when you're looking at the cost, is renter's insurance something that you can afford not to have? Because if I lose everything, my clothing, and renter's insurance also pays for additional living expenses. So it gives you another place to live. The question is, can I afford not to have it?
Yeah, yeah. And renter's insurance would be purchasable from the same agents and same companies?
Exactly. You can, basically I tell people, if you have automobile insurance, get in touch with the company that's selling you automobile insurance, because frequently those companies also sell renter's insurance. And you will get a discount by putting your automobile and your renter's insurance with the same company frequently.
Yeah, multiple policies.
Absolutely.
And if somebody doesn't mention it, ask them.
Ask. And that's another way to basically save money on your policy. Ask them to make sure that there are any discounts that are available, what you can do to get those discounts. Some of the companies require that you be with them for a period of time, but some of the companies, if you have 2 policies with them or have some other reason, will give you a discount.
Well, that's a very good point. That's a very good point. Renter's insurance, unfortunately, of course, is costly, but it's not as costly as homeowner's insurance. But for folks who live in apartments who often have lower incomes or lower median incomes than somebody that owns their own home, it can be a real financial burden. But think of the alternatives.
Right. That's the key. If I go home today and I'm a renter and I lose everything, what am I going to do if I don't have renter's insurance?
What can you do? What can you do?
Right. I mean, because to the extent that we've been able in the past to depend on other charitable organizations, we know right now that they don't have a lot of funds to give people. So we really have to figure out what we can do to get back on our feet.
Amen. Amen. Talking about getting back on feet, discrimination is something that happens, unfortunately, in all parts of our society. In terms of in purchasing insurance, in terms of shopping for insurance, what are some possible danger signs that somebody should look for?
Fortunately for us, we have not seen that as an issue.
Good.
I guess if you feel as if an insurance company is declining to take your business and you don't believe that that declination is appropriate, get in touch with us and we can look at their reasons for declining to take you. But insurance companies are allowed to look at and evaluate risk. They're allowed to look at many, many factors. But if you feel as if that declination is inappropriate, get in touch with us and we will look at that.
And so they could call that number?
Yes, they can call that 1-800-492-6116 number. And we've got experts in the area, and we will take a look at what the issue is and determine whether it's done if the insurance company is acting in compliance with Maryland law.
And like all of your information and assistance, it's free?
Absolutely. That's one of the great things about our state agency. Everything we do for consumers is absolutely free.
Because they're already paying for it.
Well, one of the things about our agency is we're self-funded. So it's not your tax dollars. It's actually an assessment from the insurance companies. So this is not your tax dollars. The insurance companies are paying for you to get the services from us.
So it's a better deal.
Absolutely.
Good, good. Let's move on to health insurance. Health insurance is something that's in the news with political campaigns. It's certainly in the news, and it's going to keep in the news. What's the current status of health insurance in Maryland?
Well, one of the things that I'm happy to say is there are still good options for individuals. And what I do want to emphasize is that it is important to have a way to pay for your health care costs. The lack of having either health insurance or another way to pay for those health care costs can lead many people to bankruptcy because it's so expensive for health care. The cost of either a major doctor's visit, an outpatient service, or hospitalization can quickly add up. So we have to look at different ways that we can pay for our health care costs. Those of people that are fortunate enough that an employer still offers health insurance, that's a wonderful alternative. But those individuals that have to go out and get health insurance on their own, it can be very, very pricey. And sometimes, based on your income, you just can't afford it. Well, one of the great things about Maryland is there are state programs that are available to help you with those health care costs.
Wonderful, wonderful.
And you can learn about those state programs by going to our website, www.mdinsurance.state.md.us, and find out which of those programs you qualify for.
So in other words, it can subsidize, in essence, your health insurance costs.
Exactly, because there's some programs that are absolutely free based on your income, and then there's some programs that, based on a sliding scale, they will help you with those health care costs.
Please give folks an idea about say for a family of 4, what kind of income would qualify them for some help?
I don't recall off the top of my head. If they go to our website,
they can check it out
and they'll give them the exact. And also, there are different programs. I know a lot of people have probably heard of the CHIP program, which traditionally was just available for children. Well, now in Maryland, we have something called a Working Families program, which is available for the entire family. And based on how many people are in that family, that's what they look at to determine whether or not how much you would have to pay.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm sure that as a general guideline, folks should check it out rather than just assume they're not going to qualify.
Exactly. What I tell people is, what does it hurt to look?
Yeah.
What does it hurt to pick up the phone and ask the question, or go to our website? And a lot of the libraries, if you don't have access to a computer, a lot of the web libraries have our information in them, or you can go to the computer at the library.
Right, right. Thank you. President Obama's healthcare plan, what's the status of that in terms of Maryland?
The Maryland governor, as well as, has basically developed a health care coordinating council, and they are working vigorously in order to get our health exchange up and running. They have really been working side by side. The General Assembly, my commissioner, the secretary for the Department of Human Hygiene has also been working to make those things come in place by 2014. Now, we already have some portions of health reform in place. One of the most important portions is allowing a parent can keep a child on their health care policy up until the age 26, which is phenomenal because a lot of children in this economy weren't able to stay on that policy.
I want to say thank you very much because I have 2 children in their early 20s, and they are,
it's a
greatly
wonderful
benefit.
thing.
Yes, absolutely.
And the other big thing was that children under age 19, if they have pre-existing conditions, are able to not be denied health insurance. There was a period of time that if you had a pre-existing condition, if you were a child under age 19, you couldn't find a policy. Now, what will happen in 2014, it will be for everyone, but at least we started with the children under age 19.
Good, good, thank you. Have you seen one of the criticisms of the National Health Care Plan was that it would affect premiums? Have you seen anything like that yet?
That's not my area as much. I think premiums in general, even before health reform, were going up because the cost of health care has been going up.
So it's tough to
say, well, it's just because of
this or just that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Because the prices of physician care, the hospital costs, et cetera, and of course the small percentage of folks that catastrophic care, and the cost of that, I'm sure does.
Well, the cost, and while no one likes to pay more for their insurance, the bottom line is we want the insurance companies to stay in business, because when I have a claim, I want that claim paid. So I want to make sure they're charging the appropriate premium. Not too much, not too little.
Yeah, yeah. So it really is the job of the Maryland Insurance Administration to walk that thin line.
Exactly, because we want to make sure that there are options out there, and we want to make sure that there is competition within the insurance industry so that there are places for consumers to go. And if we have something like Hurricane Irene, we want to make sure that those insurance companies are able to pay those claims.
Yeah. How are insurance companies doing in serving Maryland now?
It seems to be, everyone has probably seen rate increases, because with everything, the prices have gone up. For everything. When I go to the gas station, although these last couple of weeks it's been pretty good, the prices have gone down a little bit, but the grocery store, my prices have gone through the roof. Just like with insurance, the prices have gone up, but it's still a relatively competitive market.
Yeah, that's good. That's good news for the consumers. Very good news for the consumers. I wanted to mention and ask you a little bit about natural disaster insurance, because that's something that unfortunately affects too many of us.
Exactly. And one of the things, I mentioned Hurricane Irene, one of the lessons that a lot of consumers learned after Hurricane Irene for their homeowners policies, people were used to having a standard deductible. If there was a fire or a theft or another loss, they had maybe a deductible of $500 or $1,000. Well, many insurance companies also have something called a hurricane or a windstorm deductible. So with Hurricane Irene, if your company had a hurricane deductible, it may have been based on the value of your home. So if you had a hurricane deductible and you had damage as a result of Hurricane Irene, if you lived in a particular area, you may have, instead of seeing a $500 or $1,000 deductible, or you would have seen a $15,000 and potentially $20,000 deductible.
That's quite a difference.
So it's a huge difference. And the way you learn that is look at your declaration page. Every year when your company sends you out a declaration page, take a look at it and see what it says about the deductible. See if it lists 2 different types of deductibles. And if you don't understand your declaration page, pick up that phone, call the insurance agent, call the insurance company, or contact us.
Yeah, and thank you. And I guess everything on that declarations page, to return to that for a second, usually there are alternatives in terms of costs. So you're actually, you don't even know until you ask the agent or until you go on your website and get an assessment about whether your coverage is medium cost or high cost or low cost.
Right. I mean, and just because let's say you've changed insurance companies and you're used to reading your declaration page one way. Different insurance companies, the information may be different. So it's really important that you sit down and review and understand that declaration page. And also in terms of natural disasters, one of the big things that you can do to prepare for that disaster is make a personal property inventory. Make a list of your stuff. So if you have a loss, having that list will make your claims process go so much more easy.
I guess especially anything that costs more than a couple $100. Huh?
Well, anything. Yeah. And some people, I mean, there are apps that you can actually, on your cell phone or whatever, that you can go to, and it'll make even filling out that form so much more easily.
Wow, that sounds great.
It is a wonderful thing.
And you could just search for app for...
Homeowners insurance application.
Yeah, yeah. That's right. I've seen that on some of the homeowners insurance websites.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's a lot out there.
There's a ton of information out there, and we as consumers just need to take advantage of it.
Yeah, but of course, and always make sure when you go on those websites that you know what websites are going and keep your security
absolutely
rankings high. Right?
And that's another big issue with this economy. we're seeing more insurance fraud. And so you need to protect your personal and confidential information. Don't enter your social security number. Don't give too much information on a website that you don't know. Just remember, anyone can set up a website. So what I tell people to do is look at our website, get the numbers that we have for the insurance companies, and use that as your basis for contact.
What about phone calls from folks? What would you advise about avoiding fraud? Don't talk to people on the phone.
Well,
right?
I mean, because first of all, you generally, I don't know if you're like me, when I get home after working all day, I don't want to talk to anybody about business anyway, because I've got a lot of things on my mind. Generally, what I tell people is, if it's something that you're truly interested in, you can tell them to mail you something, or you can tell them, give me a website and I will go and I will visit if I'm interested. And frequently what we also see is you'll see information on billboards and things like that. Just be careful, because there are too many scams and other ways out there. And we all can get information about the legitimate companies and insurance companies that are licensed to do business in Maryland by looking at the website for the Maryland Insurance Administration.
Right, right. We're just about out of time. Joy, could you please give us all of that contact information one more time, please, for the Maryland Insurance Administration?
Sure. Our phone number is 1-800-492-6116, and our website is www.mdinsurance.state.md.us.
Great. And you are located downtown Baltimore?
At 200 St. Paul Place in Baltimore, right up from the Inner Harbor.
Great, great. I just wanted to thank you for being our guest today. This has been very interesting, and once again, if there's, and I think you'd agree with me, the tip to consumers is, if you have any questions at all, call.
Absolutely.
But call somebody who's an authority.
Call someone who understands and takes the time to explain and answer your questions.
Amen. Thank you so much, Joy.
You're quite welcome.
Thank you. For Neighborhood Beat, that's all we have time for today. I want to thank our guests, Ms. Joy Hatchette, who's Associate Commissioner of the Maryland Insurance Administration, for being our guest. Thank you, Joy.
Thank you.
Keep up your good work for all of us. And for Bill Kladke here and Neighborhood Beat, I want to thank you for tuning in. Let's try to be a good neighbor out there in all of our neighborhoods, and we'll see you next time.